what I expected that New Zealand was, it isn't, and it has changed a lot. For the last 2 years and a half-ish I've been living here. I came because I wanted to have a better future, that's how I describe it. I came with the idea of chasing a New Zealand dream. Nature life, hiking, peacefulness, security, being part of nature, of what is surrounding us, where we come from. And what I found was something absolutely different from what I was expecting. When I first started creating my whole trip, the idea of a trip, when you're about to go overseas, you first of all get to know how is the country, how does it look like, what is the language spoken over there, what is the weather that you're going to be facing, what is the clothing that you need, where are you going to stay, and all those kind of things. As I was coming for studying purposes, so it's not only accommodation, it's not only weather and language, it's also qualifications, your translations, your transcripts, your exams, making sure that everything is up to date, your visa application, which is overwhelming when it's the first time that you're taking ownership of this kind of actions. And then once you have all those must do, then you kind of leave some time to think about how would your life will look like over there. And then you start creating some sort of idea of how that future will be looking. My future was looking like I will be happy 24/7, that English wasn't gonna be any difficult for me, that the English that I brought from a country, a non-English speaking country, was gonna be enough, that because I have an IELTS and I have a C1 level of English certified, that will be prepared for all my life in New Zealand, that I wouldn't face any challenges with any accent. I also thought, I am mature enough to get along with myself. I am ready to step out of my parents' house and I'm happy to become independent. I know how to manage money. I know how things are done. I know how to make rice, how to fry a piece of beef. I know how to make a salad. I'm super strong. I have always been into exercising, so I'm not gonna get sick or anything. Weather, it's fine. I've been here before. I came here like 13 years ago in winter, so I thought it should be fine. That was a future idea that I created before I came. Let's add to that the fact that I thought my studies from my undergrad in my home country were gonna be absolutely more than enough on coming here for doing a master in my profession. Heck no. I was so far apart from where I thought that I could have been in 1 year. To give you a bit of context, the master that I came to study was 1 year duration. It was based in Christchurch, which is in the South Island of New Zealand. Well, what else could go wrong, you know? I came with a scholarship, everything was like kind of covered. That secure feeling of having a scholarship feels pretty good, not gonna lie. So I thought, I'm so ready for this. Like, just bring it in. I am absolutely comfortable. Nothing is gonna break me down. What I was not counting with was that the Danny who was back home, the Danny who was creating this master plan in her mind and her little Excel spreadsheet, because she's an engineer and she thinks that she can, everything that she puts in that spreadsheet is gonna go as she is inputting in her computer. Of course not, guys. Of course not. I will be completely honest with you. I didn't know that my emotional part, my academic part, my social part, and my professional part were gonna be challenged so hard until I broke down and started crying for each of these areas. I would add the identity, each one of us base our identity in previous experiences. Some people, like myself, we did a lot of sports when we were younger. My teenage years, I was getting very good at track and field. Part of me here in New Zealand realized that my identity was like 80% based on how my body worked, and maybe the other 20% was based on actually beliefs that I constructed. That would have never have happened if I didn't broke up in such a way. I was asking myself, who is Danny? Who am I? What happened with the strong Danny? I couldn't recognize myself. The reason why I'm saying this is because that emotional part, academic, social, and professional, if I didn't have a strong identity, all of these ones were gonna be affected. That happened during my first year. Like, this is the start of my 3rd year in New Zealand, right? But what I can tell you is that during that master's studies, that first year, I got not only sick in my body, but I also got sick in my mind. I also got sick in my spirit, in my own identity. I didn't find myself in a social group like entirely comfortable. For some reason, my spiritual part was not in the best place as well. Because all of this was happening, my emotions were just up and down, and the weather has played a bad move on me. New Zealand is almost at the bottom of the world, and it's super cold. Like, it doesn't matter how hot it gets. For me, it's never like hot or warm enough, at least where I live. All of these things have affected me in such a way. The function of my body started changing because it didn't get enough sunlight. The temperatures were dropping off because the food was different. My emotions, the stress that I was living at uni, my master's studies, postgraduate level, my English skills were not enough because the way how they teach here is not the same as in my country. So I got very lost, and I actually want to go deeper into that topic on a separate video, but let's leave it for next time. And now that I'm also working in the industry of what I studied, is like, whoa. How can the previous Danny manage all this at the same time? That was not included in my master plan. But you can never be absolutely ready for something, right? These things needed to happen. And what I realized, what I figured out during all of this process of this first year, is that transformation comes from the inside, from the deepest values of your identity up to when it's gonna be visible for the rest of the world. That's the reason why I took 3 years on opening my YouTube account. Since I was on that plane, even before, I was thinking, I'm gonna become a super great content creator in English. I'm gonna have a lot of time between my studies, content creation, easy to match with people, easy to find my church. Oh dear Danny, everything that matters will take time. Feeling that you're not enough for something that is happening, it is very overwhelming, at least for a person like myself who bases her identity on how many goals she achieves. When I was younger, I thought achieving good things, being on the first place, second or third, was kind of enough. Like, if I didn't get to the podium, for me was, I'm a loser. I have to work harder. What I have done for the past 6 months, 1 year, 3 years is not enough. Coming here and feeling like starting from scratch means nobody knows you and you're gonna fail mostly in all of the things that you're gonna try. Even riding a bike, trying to cook for yourself for an entire week, even going to the pharmacy and not knowing what are the names of the medicines that you need, even getting a haircut. Like, I have always had the hairstyler in my city. I just went to him and he knew what to do with me. But now I'm like, oh, what do you want? And I'm like, what do I want? It is hard to explain, and I hope that in the continuity of these videos I will be able to explain myself in a better way with practical examples. But just to give it a first try to this, my life changed. The Danny that I was 3 years ago is no longer there, and I am absolutely sure that it's not gonna come back. That girl was so dependent on others rather than her beliefs and her identity and who she believes in. It wouldn't have been possible for that Danny to receive the growth, the lessons, and the challenges that I'm facing now. It is impressive how life takes you where you need to be, where you need to learn. New Zealand is the country of my dreams. I have always said that, and if you talk to any one of my friends, they know I've been mentioning this since I was 15 years old. I'm living the dream. I'm literally living the dream. But that dream came with frustration, anger, doubts. And I want to share that with you. I want to share that with myself, and I want to watch this video years later knowing that Danny was able to identify what was missing in the first instance, because she needed to go through that instance to get what she didn't have years ago. So to end this video, I create a little quote with help of my creativity, diary, and ChatGPT. This is what I built. What we're looking for is never out there, but it still takes us where we need to go, where we need to be. If any of you have gone through a very rough process, I think you identify with me by the fact that it needed to happen that way. You needed to learn those things. More than others' responsibility, the whole idea is to take ownership of your life, your actions, your dreams, and also of your errors and mistakes. I'm happy to see where I've got, not only because of me, but also because of the amount of people who have been with me. I've been meeting and learning from so many different people here in New Zealand. If I do a list, I wouldn't finish it. And that's the beauty of the process. I understand now that it's not the destination, but it's whatever you gain in between, whatever you lose, whatever gets transformed in between. I had some expectations. They were not even close to what I had on that Excel spreadsheet, on that master plan. But I would say, if you have a dream, I'm absolutely sure that if you embrace the process, you're gonna love the outcome. This is me. See you in the next time with a lot of love and authenticity. Danny here. Bye.